Okay, I'm different. First and foremost, I'm absolutely humbled to be standing here to speak about the rabbi. The only time I've ever done this was for my parents. And the rabbi was my third parent. It's funny that it's really told a story about the Chazon Ish and the 10-year-old boy. The rabbi treated me like that 10-year-old boy. For more than 10 years, every single Monday night, pretty much, I would drive from New York City from my office, stop off at the R&S Deli, I think it's still there, walk into the rabbi's office with my sandwich, play hangman with Rivki and Yehuda, make the rabbi laugh, and then he'd chase out everybody from the office. And he'd sit with me for an hour and a half, as if I deserved it. We studied some of the time, that's true. But really, we developed a relationship. Okay. We developed a relationship of friendship. The rabbi would let his guard down. We would talk about things from literally off the wall. I would make him laugh. I don't think anybody in the world made the rabbi laugh more than I did. And he changed my life. The way I met the rabbi was the strangest story of all. It goes back 45 years. Our community in Deal was just sprouting up. And we had for 1 year, Alav Shalom, Rabbi Michael Haber was the rabbi in our shul. He called me up one day, he said, Teddy, we have to start a Gemara class. I said, okay, start a Gemara class, not a problem. He says, come Monday night, I'm bringing a special rabbi. We're going to have a bunch of guys. I said, why don't you teach it? He said, no, I got a special rabbi. It's going to be really great. Come. I said, okay, come. Had nothing to do. We came Monday night. Eli was there, Eli Mizrahi. We were maybe 12 or 13 men. I will tell you in all honesty, none of us were Talmidei Chachamim. Absolutely not. Rabbi Michael Haber walks in at 8 o'clock. And behind him walks in this gentleman with the royal dignity beyond compare. White beard down to here, black coat down to the floor, and you could literally sense the aura of the person walking into the room. He sat down and he opened up the Gemara and he started teaching. And he told a story which ended up being, to the group there, very controversial. He told a story about, and you people know it better than I do, about two Rabbanim in the Gemara. One was a tremendous Gaon, and his son was also a tremendous Gaon. But they never met because they didn't want to conflict with one another. The people in the room went crazy. What are you talking about? And they started yelling at the rabbi, not knowing who he was. The next morning, Rabbi Michael Haber calls me up, and he says, how'd you like the class? I told him on a scale of 0 to 10, it was 0. I mean, what happened here? He says, no, it was great. You got to come back next week. I told him I'm not coming back next week. That was a disaster. He talked me into it. He said, come back next week. You'll see. The next week, instead of 15 people, there were 4 people. Eli Mizrahi, me, and 2 other people. I don't remember who they were. And the rabbi started his class as if nothing happened the week before. He didn't even flinch. And he taught the class. Rabbi Michael called me the next morning. He said, Teddy, how'd you like the class? I said, it was terrific. The rabbi was phenomenal. I never met anything like that. The third week of the class, there was me and Eli Mizrahi. There was nobody left. Just the 2 of us. But the rabbi came. We did this for 3 or 4 weeks. I called up Rabbi Michael. I said, Rabbi Michael, this is crazy. You're driving to Lakewood to pick up Rabbi Abadi, to bring him to the class, for me and Eli to sit down with the rabbi, for you to drive him home and you to drive home after that. It's nuts. Why don't Eli and I go to the rabbi? He says, it's a good idea. Let me call the rabbi. And the rabbi agreed. He said, okay, if they want to do that, it's good. So Eli and I started going to the rabbi's house. We'd walk in at 8 o'clock, and like I said, the rabbi shut out the world. We were the center of the universe. We were that 10-year-old boy. He made us feel like geniuses. That started, like I said, a sequence of classes. Srili used to get angry. Yossi Testa used to get angry. Rabbi Gissinger, Alav Hashem, used to get angry. What do you mean you have an hour and a half with the rabbi? How do we get that? No, the rabbi held it for us because he saw the value of what these people are speaking about, of teaching every single Jew what it means to stand on your own, to be able to open a book, to be able to learn what it is to live a Torah life. One Sunday, I don't know, we had a class, and the rabbi brought up the idea of Tevilat Kelim. Rabbi, I'm not doing this, it's a lot of work. The next Sunday, the boys were in my house, they emptied out my house, they took all the Kelim to the mikveh, they brought it back in the afternoon, boom, done. He knew no bounds. When my son was born, I named him after the rabbi. And the rabbi came and was a sandak at the Milah. And it was on Shabbat. He actually spent the Shabbat in my house. The Kollel went crazy. How'd you convince him? I didn't convince him, I just asked him. We had a relationship between us that was unique. I think it was unique. Again, many of you may have had the same thing. The man had a sense of humor. He had a wit. He had literally an aura when he walked into a room that could not be denied. The rabbi lived by the principle of the Torah, and nothing would sway him. He withstood all the criticism and all the, quote, slings and arrows. It didn't matter to him. When he made a decision and he said, this is the right way to do it, Katie bar the door, that's it. That was the way to do it. He had a tremendous impact on the entire Jewish world because of his commitment to state what is and isn't kosher on Pesach. We were in his office. I literally typed up the first list in my office. It was 1 page long. And the rabbi got vilified. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to go through all that. But the rabbi knew what was right. And today, the vast majority of what is in all these Pesach lists is built off of what Rabbi Abadi said. The rabbi understood how to talk to people. I used to sit in his office and he would get phone calls from literally around the world. And sometimes he'd let me listen in. Sometimes I only heard his part of the conversation, but sometimes he let me listen to the other side too. And he spoke to each person on a level that that person needed to be spoken to. He knew just from listening on the telephone how to relate to each person at a level that made sense to that person. He stood up for what he believed in, and he did it with dignity. He never responded in the way that most of us would have responded. He always, quote, took the high road. He never lowered the Torah or his feeling and understanding of the Torah. It was unbelievable. Sometimes what was going on around him, you never saw it on his face. He never let it come out. He always said, this is what's right, this is what we're going to do. He was, like I said, a very, very warm person. He was a very royal person, a very dignified person. Anybody that came into contact with him would understand that in a heartbeat. There was a gentleman in my community that called me up one day, and he said, Teddy, I need a favor from you. I said, from me? He's a big kashu guy in the community. I said, how can I help you? He said, I need an appointment. I said, what? He says, I need an appointment with Rabbi Abadi, and I heard you know him. I said, yeah, I know him, but really, the rabbi doesn't open the door to anybody to come in and go rabbi shopping to get a sock on this. He says, no. People told me that the rabbi is the only one that could answer my question, and whatever he tells me to do, I will do. I said, okay, let me call him up. Let me see. So I called up the rabbi, and I told him this person wants to meet with you, and he's a yashar guy. You don't have to worry about him. The rabbi said, okay, if you tell me it's okay, I'll meet with him. So he met with him. I never asked what the problem was. I didn't ask the rabbi, and I didn't ask this other gentleman. A few months later, I see him again at, I don't know, a wedding or something like that. He comes over to me and he tells me, I owe you the biggest debt of gratitude. I said, I forgot about the appointment. He said, I met with Rabbi Abadi. I never met a person like that. I sat down with him, and in 5 minutes, he did for me what I can't tell you how many other rabbis were unable to do. He solved my problem in an absolute, dignified, thoughtful way. And I walked out of his office, I never felt like that. I never asked the rabbi what the problem was. To me, the value was that the rabbi, in just one meeting, could impact a person like this more than all the other people. That was his gift. That was what he was here for. I assume all of us were touched by him in that way. Some more, some less. But that's what I take with me. I take with me not what he taught me or how he taught me to learn, but how he treated me, how he absolutely loved me. And for that, I will always be grateful.